Welcome back to another episode of Free the Plant, Free the People, presented by BluRok Farms. You know I'm your host, LeVar. Today we have a special episode. And actually, before I get into what our episode is today, you know Free the Plant, Free the People is about anything and everything cannabis related. And we're here to highlight and to bring more awareness to BIPOC and women-owned entrepreneurs in the space and relative spaces as well that are connected to the cannabis space. So let's get into today's topic. And today we have a special guest, and today we're going to be talking to Joshua Robinson, the Creative Realtor. Welcome to the episode. Welcome to the podcast, man. Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you for having me.
All good, all good.
Excited to be here.
So I wanted to go into a little bit of kind of how we met.
Man, that whole story is a little wild. So, like, literally, sometimes you just don't know the power of the internet. Mm-hmm. You know, the power of the internet, and just after you actually talk to people in New Mexico, period, if you talk to somebody for more than like 5 minutes, you are definitely going to figure out who else they know. Yep. You might even figure out who their family are. And then you dig enough, you might be related. Like, you know, it's like Albuquerque is a big little town.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool because through Instagram is how we met.
Yeah.
And then we found out later at your event, man, we got a mutual connection.
That's right.
Mutual friends.
Yeah.
A lot, actually.
Yeah, that's right. That's when I found out that you knew Assad and Eshell. So if you don't know about them, go check them out. We'll definitely try to get them on the podcast as well because they're doing some great things up in New Mexico on the eastern side.
Absolutely.
As well. So
absolutely. In Fence Lake.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. So let's give you a little bit a better introduction. So Joshua Robinson, as the name states, the Creative Realtor. He's in real estate.
Literally.
Makes it very easy.
It's so direct and to the point. You know what I mean? Because oftentimes people have these things that you know, it's. I found out, right, that if you have a very centered and focused kind of point of view, it makes it easy for your perspective and ideal people.
Yep.
Right? So for me, it's like, like speaking of like the BIPOC and things like that, right? There wasn't a lot of representation growing up as far as black male realtors. Yeah. Black realtors, period, in the state, but black male realtors, man, it was a scavenger hunt to find somebody. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? As an example, as an example, you know? So for me, it was super important to put representation at the forefront. So when you see my signs, you see my face. Yep. You know, when you hear my voice, you look me up, you're going to see my big old grin. Big old goofy bobbleheaded grin out here with the button because, you know what I mean? You got to do something different. Yeah. Got to stand out a little bit.
No. And that is one of the things that I think really attracted me to your Instagram page. And that's how I sparked that conversation of like, well, let's connect. Because as you stated, it was hard finding a BIPOC or even a woman real estate agent or a realtor. So like, that makes a lot of sense of how you got into the space. And it kind of coincides with my story of me getting into cultivation is I would have got into cultivation on the commercial side or a professional side a lot earlier if I saw a black farmer or a black cultivator.
Man.
So I wanted to kind of touch into like what sparked your entrepreneurial spirit?
That is a great question. Matter of fact, I'll make it short. Because otherwise we're going to be here for like 3 hours, right?
Hey, we got time. No.
So literally, I've always had a thing where I don't like somebody telling me where, like, my potential, right? So it's like, I don't know about you, but like my mom, if I asked her for money, she'd be like, what money? It's my money.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. So like that first question of, that made me think outside the box. Like, okay, how am I going to get money?
Gotcha.
Now, me personally, I don't like sweets, you know? And Halloween, what do I get? Free candy.
Gotcha.
What does everybody else eat up, blow the bag on? They going to eat their free candy. As a child, I was 8 years old.
Supply and demand.
Exactly. So everybody was eating their stuff up, right? Wait, I'm patient. I don't even like sweets. So what I would do is wait, and then once somebody would run out of candy, here I come. Captain Savior, right now, I got exactly what you need. It's going to be about 50 cents to $1, depending on what it is.
Yep, flip it.
And I got you.
Yeah.
And then it's all profit because then I got it for free. Then, boom, all I got to do is take it back in. And then now we go to the store And that's kind of what started it out. It was like, hold up. And then because the beautiful part about being an entrepreneur is nobody can tell you how much you can make.
Yep, that's
the
right.
only person that can tell you how much you can make is you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that self-proclamation, that not pigeonholing or limiting yourself. Not a lot of people have that entrepreneurial spirit. And as we were talking before the episode off camera, of just the number of entrepreneurs in America is less than 15%.
Absolutely.
So that just shows that it's a certain type of people that gravitate to that space. What are some of the qualifications, or not qualifications, rather, the characteristics that you saw in yourself that you feel like really helps in your entrepreneurial spirit?
I think one of the most important things that we can do as people, as entrepreneurs, and as business owners is to, sometimes you got to be able to go deaf. You got to have select deafness.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if somebody asks you about some money that you owe them, huh? Right, right. But you really got to be able to have that same select deafness for when somebody talks bad about you, because people are going to make you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
People are going to make you think, dang, like, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm pretty, like, in my business, right? If you don't sell, or you don't make any money. And at first, that was one of the hardest things to remind myself of was, yo, look, if I leave this job, then I'm leaving my security blanket, right? But I had a friend ask me something, because I was at a business conference in South Carolina, and he illuminated me to one of the biggest facts that I didn't realize. He said, you know, you're living your worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
And that's an interesting perspective of thinking about it. A lot of people don't think about it in that framework.
facts. I didn't. And then, like, yo, the cat is younger than us. So I was like, hold up, I'm used to being the only person that says deep stuff, right? And then I thought about it, and I was like, damn, like, you are 100% right, because if things didn't work out real estate wise, I was gonna go get a job and go back to to what I know, easy stuff. And I was like, hold up, and then this, I ain't gonna lie, this is what pissed me off, right? So I was working these jobs, right, and these weren't like the craziest jobs out there, but I realized at a point, I'm making somebody else a whole lot of money, and I'm getting a little tiny bit back. And I gotta ask permission to use the bathroom. I gotta ask permission to be sick.
Yep.
I gotta ask permission to have a bad day. Like, yo, hold up, you hold up. And I guarantee you, the person that's at the top of this ladder, they ain't asking nobody that.
Nope.
They don't hit me up and be like, hey, you mind if I have a bad day? Yo, you mind if I spend a little time with my family? They don't give a damn. So I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
You saw the value in ownership.
Exactly. It flipped the whole paradigm. Once you really start to sit back and you think, and you're like, hold up, like, why am I gonna be asking you permission to feel sick? Like, why am I gonna be asking you permission to have a bad day? Like, why am I gonna let you tell me if I could ever get a promotion?
Yeah.
Why am I gonna let you do that to me and dictate? Oh no, we only see you in this manner, so we ain't gonna let you deviate from that. You know what I mean? It just at a certain point you gotta ask yourself, like, does this make sense for me?
Yeah.
And I mean, if it does for some people, that's cool, because in every relationship you're gonna have the visionary and the integrator, right?
Yep.
Speaking from the book Rocket Fuel, but
Great book, by the way.
oh man, it was dope. And actually, I found that one out from I think it was Social Proof and Spectacular from Pretty Ricky.
Oh.
He was the one who put me on. I was like,
Okay.
what? All right, Spectacular. So I read the book and I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense, right? And so for me, I do have the capacity to be either or. Either or depends on the relationship or whatever the situation is, right?
Yeah, you're fluid. Yeah.
Exactly. But I am more a visionary, which means I'll have a vision, and then I'll figure out how to execute it along the way, whatever, And so again, you got to ask yourself, like, does this fit for me?
Yep.
Does it make sense that I stay in this, or for me and how I see myself, would it be a better position, would I be better suited to go to my own direction?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So long story short, that's kind of really what got me focused. Like, hold up, like this, and I think again, you have to have the characteristic to be able to tell, to block people out, right, on your journey, so that you can grow without limits.
Yeah, and that brings me to another point that I wanted to kind of touch on is when you made that transition from the employee mindset to the employer, the entrepreneur mindset. I'm sure that you faced a lot of setbacks. What were those setbacks, and then how did you kind of overcome them?
I ain't gonna lie to you. One of the first setbacks was financial, right? Now, luckily, I did save a pretty decent amount of money, right? Because, and this is for a quick tangent, right? But anybody who has a job that'll match a 401k, you can get a backdoor raise, and that's what I did. I asked for a raise. They said no. We had 401k. Boom, and they're matching it. And at this point, I'm already vested, meaning that I can control it if I needed to at some point. Cool. So I'm vested. That means that whatever I put in, they put in, and it stays in, right? So I figured out, okay, so until I can do my thing fully while I'm working on getting these credentials under me, let them invest my stuff, right?
Gotcha.
So that was one way of saving. I was already saving too. I started investing. I started putting money in different places, right?
Diversifying your funds.
Exactly. So that when I did leave, I was going to be okay if I didn't have any money for a little bit.
Makes sense.
But one of the major things is you can get discouraged, man. It's very easy to get discouraged if like it seems like the people around you ain't really there for you or aren't able to do the thing that you need. It can be very depressing. You're like, damn, like I thought for sure like this person would have my back or that this person was down. But sometimes sometimes like you'll get support from people that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Early on, when we were talking, you supported me. I was trying to do the same. Yeah. I definitely believe in reciprocity. You know what I mean? And so the more natural and organic relationships that you can cultivate where it's reciprocal, the better environment you're going to be in. You got to and then when I was in a position where I knew people that thought the same way that I did, I had to just start reading books, man, because sometimes we start trying to look within our peer group, and the problem is that it's not there yet, because that's what our peer group at that time is where we are at that moment, right? But as you start to grow, your peer group is going to change, and that's something that's hard to accept at first, because you can be like, dang, but that was my A1, like he'd been there forever. But sometimes as you grow, you guys are gonna start to fall apart just because you don't think the same anymore.
Yeah, you're growing apart, and it's nothing intentional. It's not malicious. It's not that you want this to happen. But again, if you're elevating yourself and you're elevating your mindset, you can't elevate everybody's mindset to match yours.
Absolutely.
You have to meet people where they are, and sometimes our close ones, like you said, our day ones, have people are in your life for seasons, as a lot of people say, the saying out there, and it doesn't mean that they can't elevate themselves and eventually get to the point where you can grow together again.
Literally.
But at times, like you said, that's one of the things that I did that I had a hard time with as an entrepreneur, is accepting the lack of support from family and friends. Because a lot of the books that I was reading at the time, especially a lot of them are more geared towards, are written by white men in their paradigm of what they experience. And their experience is different than ours in a lot of cases, because of generational wealth, redlining, all the things we can get into in regards to systematic racism. But taking an example, the guy that started GoPro, his family basically funded him to be able to do that. They basically said, here's some money. He went out for, I think it was like a couple of years or a year or so, basically making that product, making that camera to fit what we see today. So we had a lot of opportunities to fail. We don't necessarily have those. Nope. So a lot of those books that I was reading were say the first step, and actually if you go to Google right now and they ask starting a business, they're going to tell you, go to your friends and family first to do fundraising, to create your first round of fundraising. For most businesses, if it costs, $50,000 or more to start, we don't have that peer group to be able to say, hey mom, let me borrow $50,000.
It'd be nice.
And knowing that there's a potential that you might not get it back, because that's how it is with any investment. Nothing is guaranteed. So having that disposable income to give and not knowing when the timetable is going to be paid back, for a lot of us, especially in the startup stage, once you get your business off the ground and you get it flowing and stuff, you can have more realistic timetables on return on investments for investors. So yeah, I definitely agree with you of like, our path is a little bit different and you have to be able to accept that and still push forward. What are the things that you feel helped add to your resiliency to keep pushing? Because the numbers, again, the 15% entrepreneurship, and then when we get to cannabis for black and brown people, it's even lower. Like, it shows that you have to have a sense of resilience. What gave you that sense of resilience?
So one of the things that kept me in the right space was I was very conscious about what I allowed into my mind. You know, I was super intentional. There was a lot of music I didn't listen to at the time because I had to make sure that what I was listening to was in alignment of what I was actually trying to go to. And I would rather say grow to. You know what I mean? Because at the time, man, like when I first started really in my adult life, when I first really started to take this thing seriously and be like, damn, I'm about to leave my job here in a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of like, because at first you get an arrogance, like, man, F this job.
Yeah.
But then you get the, yo, I'm about to leave this job, man.
That realization
You
hits
be like,
in.
man, I don't know if I'm about to make it. They been, you know, I didn't got a little check off of them a couple times.
Yeah.
But you got to think like, all right, so I get to leave this job in order to do what I actually want to do with my time and see who I want to see without having all these stipulations.
Yep.
But again, like I had to become very, very conscious of what I allowed in, and actually also stay disciplined. Because if you don't stay disciplined, and you just be like, yo, like you have a bad day, you go crazy with the drinking, you go crazy with whatever your vice is. You know what I mean? It's gonna just set you back.
Yeah. No,
You know,
definitely.
so you definitely have to, and you have to have a very futuristic vision.
Yep.
Because if you don't have a futuristic vision and faith, you ain't gonna go nowhere.
No, that's right.
You know what I mean? If you just stay looking at, it's like, matter of fact, you're cultivating, right? You get a seed, put it in dirt. If you don't have that faith and that belief, and also have the actions to have that seed grow,
You have to work behind
the
it.
seed ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you know for a fact, you're like, all right, look, I know if I do this, this, and this, then this seed's gonna grow.
Yeah.
This seed's gonna produce. That is literally a paradigm of how we are as people, period. Because with us, especially like when we talk about like the BIPOC like community, right? You put us in dirt, you cover us with dirt, cover us with darkness, cover us in things that are supposed to like that aren't supposed to benefit you. You fertilize us. You cover us in excrement, right? But that's fertilization for us.
Yeah.
We can pull life out of anything.
Yeah.
You
Rose
know
out
what
of
I mean?
concrete, as Tupac said.
Literally, we pull life out of anything that we need, and then what do? We rise out of the occasion.
Yep.
It just takes that environment, that right amount of water, nourishment, nurturing, and honestly, it takes a little bit of like of excrement. So like I've had people throw dirt at me, saying like, oh, he gimmicky, like, oh, he's just only on social media. Little do you know that's about to be my superpower.
Yeah.
You know.
Turning what people deem as negatives into positives. Yeah.
Exactly.
That reminds me of a couple of posts that I saw recently from J. Cole when he talked to Bob Myers of the Golden State Warriors, and then a clip I saw of Mike Tyson, when he in his early stages. The Mike Tyson clip was him saying, he's like, I don't care about talent. At the end of the day, talent doesn't mean nothing. It's nice, yeah, but what's really going to make a good fighter in this case, but to me it applies to any space in life, is dedication and determination is the things that he said. And that goes touching to what you were saying, is having the dedication and the determination that regardless of what barriers you reach, you're going to continue to move forward.
That's a fact.
And then that links to what J. Cole was saying is about the three things that he thinks leads to his success. Was one is what you brought up, is having the dream, that vision of this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go to. And then determining the blueprint to get there. What are the steps? What are the requirements? What is the work that I need to do to get to that point? And then doing that every single day, as much as you can, and staying focused, which is all the things that you brought up, which, again, I think it's great for other people to hear these things, especially from, like, we're not J. Cole, we're not Mike Tyson, where like people know us by name in other countries, like just randomly. But it shows that those principles can still be applied and be successful.
Absolutely.
One of the questions that I did want to ask you to kind of tie this into cannabis is, what are the things that you saw prior to adult use, recreational use of cannabis in New Mexico, to what you're seeing now in the real estate market in regards to adult use cannabis?
So there's a couple of things, right? I've seen it seems like everybody and their cousin wants to have a dispensary,
Yep.
right?
They're popping up everywhere.
Man, like just in my area, there's like 4 or 5, like down in Sletta. I'm like,
Oh,
whoa, holy crap!
yeah.
Like last week, it was just something else. It was like a tire shop or something. I'm like, hold on, where
Yeah, gas
everybody?
stations.
Yeah, where everybody just
convenience
find all this
stores. Yeah,
weed from? Like
any
just popping up.
any
you
building
know?
that they can convert, they're doing it. So yeah.
Absolutely, but on that part, like the retail side is cool,
Mm-hmm.
but on the growing side, it's a lot more difficult.
Yep.
It's a lot more difficult. You've got people in the real estate industry that they ain't trying to touch it because they know that the funding is hard. So it's hard to find the land that's going to support and sustain the cultivation of it, but also it's hard to find the money to pay for it unless somebody has the capital already.
Gotcha.
Right? And so if you're cash, then you got a little bit more leeway, right?
Cash rules everything. So.
Yeah, you got a little bit more leeway, but if you do have to go the financing route, it can be a lot harder. Not a little bit harder. I'm not gonna lie to you. It can be a lot harder to find funding. So it's very important that you find somebody who is willing to think outside the box, right? Go outside the norm, but also somebody who's kind of figured it out. If you got somebody who figured it out before,
Gotcha.
and has a successful track record, and they already did it, that might be who you want to use.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, even honestly, like on every side of real estate, it's one thing to consider is that sometimes these larger institutions don't want to see you do the thing that you're trying to do. Keep that in mind. Take it with pride and move on. It's okay to not go with the big name, and to go with somebody else that can do it, will do it, is gonna have your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's always important to go for the bigger name just because it's already there. People know them, but historically, a lot of these bigger names don't like people that aren't who they would connect with on a daily basis.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I would say for BIPOC people in particular, we need to start supporting our own.
Man, that's a fact.
We have to support our own because that's the thing that I say a lot on this podcast is we need to create our own ecosystem. We have to create a way where we're keeping the dollars that we're spending amongst each other because that's the only way that we're going to be able to grow. That's the only way we're going to be able to expand and branch out. And we're so quick, especially with how society is today, we're so quick to promote celebrities that we don't know on a personal basis, that don't know our kids' names, don't know our mom's names. If they saw us on the side of the road, they're not gonna be like, "Hey, bro, you need a ride?" Like they're not doing that. So, but we're willing to give our dollars to them. Mm-hmm. We should start giving our dollars to us, the people that are. Oh, if I see you on the side of the road, your car's broke down. Hey, bro, can I help you? Like, say like
literally
because I know you.
And that's the thing too is like oftentimes it can be very hard to create credibility.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like I don't know about you. Matter of fact, have you had any issues, especially in your early stage, with credibility where like you're telling people about who you are, what you do, and they look at you and they're like, nah, but I didn't know you do this though.
Yeah. I get that issue even today. There's people that, and I've gotten to the point now, I felt I was at the point where I was always like, oh, I got to prove. And now I'm at the point where it's like, no, I don't got to prove nothing. Either you know or you don't. We can have a conversation. I'm not against having conversations, but I'm not here to prove anything to you. Mm-hmm. I've been in this space long enough. I proved it. Go Google it. Like you have to do your own research and do your own due diligence to because if we were doing this in any other thing, or if you're doing a business deal or you're having a partnership, you're going to do your own due diligence. You're not going to just take the word of whatever that person told you.
Absolutely.
You're going to do your due diligence and say, are they really what they say they are? So if we do that with everything else, why do I got to prove my own stuff? It's out there. You find it.
And I got a question. Like, okay, so when you were actually like starting out, right? Mm-hmm. Was there things that you had to do in order to become the person that you are right now? Like, did you have to get like certain certificates because you teach, right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, did you have to earn any type of credentials and certificates in order to do so?
Not necessary to teach in that regard, but there were things that I had to do to prove, like, when I first moved into Mexico, I've been cultivating 20 years.
Yeah.
And when I moved here, I had 17 years of cultivation experience. I applied to literally the 34 medical providers. I applied to 34 medical provider. I put in 34 applications. Only out of 34 medical providers that were all saying that they were hiring, only 2 responded back. And out of the 2 that responded back, only 1 actually hired me based off of, and they hired me at a entry level position when I knew more than the master grower there. So nowadays, I wouldn't have took that job. Because again, at that time, I felt like I needed to prove myself. So I took it. I was like, I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them all this stuff. I'm going to help them improve their facilities, do this, do that, do this, do that, do that. Show them this, that I know more than the master grower. I did all that. They still didn't give me the master grower. Well, they gave me the master grower position, but they didn't want to give me the salary and all the benefits that come along with that. And so therefore I had to let it go.
Absolutely.
But so now I'm not at the position because people approach me now about being part of their facilities, and I'm like, it has to be in writing. It has to be clear. It has to be defined because I'm not doing that. I'm going to prove first and then you'll pay me on the back end. No.
Right.
As JID said in the song, fuck the background, pay me now.
Facts.
So that's kind of where I'm at. But I wanted to ask you that same question. Like, what were those things that you felt like you had to prove in the early stages, and how has that transitioned to now?
Oh man, in the early stages, it was all about proving knowledge, right? Because if I didn't have any, like when I didn't have any sales, it's like, yeah, but can you still do the job though? It's like, at first it was like, well, look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna show y'all all this and all that. And it was like, nah, like at this point, and even early on, like I had a thing about respect. I would much rather be broke. And some people call this stupid, but I would much rather be broke, have my respect than to lower like my value to myself to let you kind of walk all over me just so that I could say that I got the business.
Gotcha.
Right? Like, and I was chasing every type of opportunity that came my way. Nope, not these days. You know, at this point, I was able to get and earn receipts. My first client was actually a friend. I ain't gonna lie. My first client, my first completed sale was a friend, right?
That's awesome.
I had my first, he was technically my second. My first actually was a stranger. A stranger that I met at a brewery. It was a family. Like, they were cool, you know, and then same thing. They were looking for a BluRok realtor, but of course, sometimes people be in hiding.
Yep.
So, me being me, I'm like, I'm talking to everybody, you know?
Yeah, I'm out here.
And I was like, hey, yo, boop, slide to the card, you know what I mean? Like, hey, guys, check this out. When you're looking for a house, let me know. Holler at me. I got you. Turns out they were looking for a house. You know what I mean? So it's like, one, I think that you got to be willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be like, and I told them straight, I was like, look, you know, I am newer to this side of real estate, but I do have 7 years of real estate experience in this other field, right? And so now I just recently became licensed, and like my goal is to make sure that we both know what's going on. I don't want to just speak over your head.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you understand exactly what I'm saying, and that everybody is a part of this decision, because it's your decision. At the end of the day, it's your decision.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that like you're not just randomly just signing your life away.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's so much that goes into it with the protections. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, but to me that shows that you care.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because there are people in every profession that don't care. And that can spur us into a whole nother conversation. But we are running up on time. We definitely got to have you back because there's so much more that I do want to touch on and talk with you about. So we'll definitely get you on another episode. But before we wrap up, I do want to ask you the question that we ask all of our interviewees, or the people that we interview, is what does flower is power, or excuse me, what does free the plant, free the people mean to you?
Like that question. So to me, free the plant and free the people is not only just like the literal translation of that, right? Freeing the planet, freeing the people, but you're empowering the people to make their own decisions based off of informed consent. That's my biggest thing, right? And I think honestly, on a large scale, we get a lot of our freedom from information.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They say
knowledge
that,
is power.
Literally, they say that like one of the best ways to keep people oppressed is to put something in a book.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, we're actually searching the information, finding the information, and then liberating the information to other people too. And so as the same thing as you search, you find, and you become more knowledgeable and more savvy, right? You can literally free that plant, right? Because now people know exactly what's up.
Yeah.
You free the plant, and you're freeing the people to make their own informed decision, and giving them that information so that they can do so.
Gotcha. No.
Right? Because at first it was just like that thing that people did to elevate their spirits. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, hold up, wait a minute. There's so much more to it.
Yep.
You know, you've got fabric that can be made.
Yep.
You've got medicinal, you act like real medicinal like things. Like you can help people in pain.
Yep.
And not have to get not even really get like the high of it.
Yeah. The
You know what I
nausea.
mean? Exactly.
For
You can
cancer
help
patients.
people eat. You can help people that are going through different, like people who might have had all these other reactions based off of like these pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, yeah.
Like now it's like, hold on. You mean to tell me I don't gotta do none? I don't gotta have none of that.
Yeah.
So that right there is what free the people means to me. Is you free the people with the information that gives them the liberation to make an empowered decision.
No, that is awesome. And I want to say thank you again to Joshua Robinson, the Creative Realtor. Excuse me, I can't talk today.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I got tongue tied too.
But I do want to say thank you again for joining the podcast. Like I said, we definitely have to get you back on because there's so many more questions that we didn't get to that I definitely want to talk to you about. And so everybody out there who's watching, definitely go to Joshua Robinson, the Creative Realtor. You can find him on everything: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Facts.
So if you're not following him, go follow him. And make sure you support his business as well. If you're looking for a house or some land or some property, that's the man to go to. I want to say thank you all for watching another episode of Free the Plant, Free the People, presented by BluRok Farms, where we talk everything cannabis related, as well as highlight and support BIPOC and women entrepreneurs in the space.
LeVar, I want to thank you so much for having me. You know what I'm saying? On behalf of myself, right? I want to thank BluRok for having me doing what you do, and also the things that you do in the community, man. Because it's pretty dope that we get to see somebody who actually looks like us, always doing stuff. You're always doing things. You're doing things with restaurants. You're collaborating with other people in the business, because like that's one of the things that people have a hard time with, is collaboration over competition.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're actually out here. You're comparing notes. You guys are talking about growth, literally and figuratively. You know what I mean? Cultivating people and cultivating plants, and I appreciate that. I think that that's one of the coolest things about you, for real.
No, I appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate that. And like I said, the thing I do appreciate you is you're the same. You are out here trying to support people that are about it, that are really about the work and really about helping other people. He showed up to so many of our events, some of them very, very last minute, because he just wants to show support. So again, he's a really good guy, a guy you should definitely follow and support. So again, thank you guys for watching another episode of Free the People, Free the Plant. Check us out every month, and please like, subscribe, and comment.
Y'all
it helps
be empowered,
a lot.
y'all, for real. Do that, bro.
And we out.